Hello everyone and welcome back. If you're new here, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Yvette, and on my channel I like to do craft tutorials for junk journal, paper crafting, beadwork, and more. In today's video, I'm going to be starting a new series that I'm calling Cover to Cover. So what this will be is a series on my channel where I will show you step by step what I do to create a journal. So we're going to start with the cover and we're going to move our way through sewing in the signatures, then we're going to move, which are the pages, and then we're going to move into how I decorate the journal. So decorating the cover, decorating the pages, and kind of the process I use for that. So what we're going to do is start out here today. I have gone ahead and pre-cut the base for the journal just because I have a big guillotine cutter and I didn't want to use that on camera and it's very loud. So before I got that cutter, I was just cutting all of my chipboard on my little cutter here. So I don't know where I got this, at some craft store, I'm sure. I think Joann's. And this is what I would use to just cut it out. So you score it with this and then cut it with a pair of scissors, and I was going to do that, but if I do that on camera, that takes a long time. So I didn't want to do that and waste anybody's time here. So let's go ahead and get started. What I've done is cut the two pieces here. This is going to be your front and back cover, and this is your spine. And I've cut them. I'm going to make a basic journal is about 6 by 9. So I cut these a little bit smaller than that actually, because I don't like my pages to be too far in on the sides. So I cut mine, and this is kind of a trial and error how you work. If you're going to have lace on the edges, you could go a full 6 inches by 9 and you would be safe. Although that leaves you quite a lot of space here because your paper is 8.5 high. So that leaves you a quarter of an inch on each side, which to me is a little bit much, but that's doable. So anyways, for today's tutorial, I have cut two pieces at 5 3/4 wide by 8 3/4 tall. So that's going to be your cover. And then I cut the spine at, I can't remember if I did 1.5 or 2, and I'm really bad with measuring by sight. So I'm going to measure this real quick off camera here, and this is a 2-inch spine. So I cut this piece to be 2 by 8.5. So, and I'm going to use wallpaper only because the first couple journals that I made, I did make with wallpaper. So the basics for making a journal is the same, whether you have a 4-inch spine and it's 8 inches wide and 10 inches long. It's the same basic form. So the main thing is you want the pages to fit inside, nice and neat inside the book, just like a book would. So what I'm going to do is cover that in wallpaper. I have found that wallpaper is the most forgiving as far as buckling and things like that. I haven't yet. I'm going to someday and get brave, but here's my wallpaper I'm going to use. So we're going to obviously work on the back. So what I was going to say is I do not use a sewing machine yet. I'm going to venture into that someday. Hopefully I'll be brave enough to do that. But for now, I have not ventured that far. So I glue all of my covers, and it has worked out fine as long as you make sure you're doing it properly. So we're going to line these up, and what I like to do is line it up with the corners. So, and you probably can't see that because I'm off camera. So down here, you're going to kind of line that up with the corner because you want to be able to, when we tuck this and make it go over the cover, the base of the cover, you want it to look nice and neat. So you want to cut your piece a little bit bigger. As you can see here, I have a little bit all the way around. It's about, I would say, if I square this all up, you've got about 1.5 inches all the way around for that. You want to allow a little bit of space in here, so I usually gap this about 1/2 inch when I'm measuring, because it's better to overcut the cover than to undercut it and have not enough to wrap around and look good. So if anything, and I do not cut straight lines, so that's the other thing. And maybe if this just doesn't work out at all, you'll never see this and nobody will be none the wiser, right? So I'm going to use Fabri-Tac glue just because that's what I have found works really well. And in my other videos, you guys may have seen, I have a little jar of it, but I'm using my big jar today. Pulling out the big jar. So let's take our wallpaper off for a minute. And what we're going to do is tape this. Now, I know everybody does this different. This is just what I have found. And you have to really, I watched quite a few videos and kind of watched how other people did it before I actually made it. So if you'll notice there, I turned it over because I have a cut side and I have the natural side to it. I want those on the outside. This part can be off a little bit, but you don't want your outside edge to be off. So you want that cut, you know, if you don't cut straight like I do not cut straight, then you want to line that up as best you can so that you have that. You want a little bit of gap in there. I usually leave about a 1/4 of an inch gap. The reason for that is you want this to be like a hinge coming up. If you have this flat against here, it's going to come and it's going to not bend properly. There won't be enough room and it's going to tear your wallpaper or your fabric will pucker. It won't look good. So like I said, I just found that the first journals that I made, I covered in wallpaper because it was a little easier than fabric, and then I glued them because I don't sew. So the first step is I use this tape that I get at the post office, and it's the best tape that I found for this without being super spendy. I don't cover the whole thing in it as far as, you know, all the way down. I'm not going to do that. And some people do. So you need to find, I would just find what works for you. Like I said, I watched a lot of different people's videos and how they did it. And then I just did my own thing, kind of. So that's the best advice I can give you, is you just kind of got to play around with it. So I would suggest doing a 2 signature to start out. This one has a 2-inch spine, so it's probably going to be a 3 signature. And I just take a little piece and stick it on there and make sure it's down really well. And then I put another piece on the other side. Now, I don't go all the way across because I have found for me that if I go all the way across here, then it wrinkles. So I'm trying to minimize the wrinkling because that seems to be one of the problems that people have when they start making journals, is the fabric or the cover material will wrinkle. So I'm going to go ahead and scooch that over just a little bit. Okay, so I just put it like that, and there's, you know, there, I don't even have one here because I'm going to put one on the other side. So we're going to go like this. And the back one, I kind of just alter a little bit here, and, you know, offset each side of it so that it's not straight across from each other. So what this is doing is you have a very flexible cover, but it's together in one piece. Okay, so the next thing that you need to decide is if you want to have, now I have had people that I've seen that put batting down and then put fabric or wallpaper over it. I just do this right down onto the wallpaper. So it doesn't really matter which side because I've made this flexible, and so either side is going to bend and make a book. So we're going to go up here and I'm just going to put some glue on. I'm very generous with the glue. You want to make sure you don't go over the edge too far. And I am standing up for this video, so this is a little different for me than my regular way of sitting down and crafting. Plus I'm talking and having to think at the same time, and I don't know that I'm too good at that. So just start out like this, get it all on there. Now, if you do fabric, you can do one side and then the other, but with wallpaper, you kind of have to do it all at once because I just turn it over and kind of, I don't want to say slap it down there, but that's basically what I do. So just go ahead and get your glue on there and make sure you get the edges pretty good. Until you're a little more used to this, you might want to do this off of the wallpaper so you don't get it all over the wallpaper. I should have thought of that. I usually think of things after they happen and then I have to fix it. But anyway, continuing on with our gluing. I never realized how long glue takes till you're actually videoing it. Okay, almost done here. All right. You write your name on there or something creative if you want. I guess I like to doodle, so that's what I do. So now we're going to get this down, and you kind of want to line it up into the corners there. And you kind of want to make it so that it's all even. All right. Press it down really well, and you'll see it's, with fabric tack, it takes a minute for that to stick. All right, the other thing you're going to want are some clamps of some sort, and of course I didn't get mine out, so this might make a little noise here. I'm sorry about that. Let me get those out. All right, I do have those handy here for my clamping needs. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start here with, I usually start at the bottom and fold up like this. So fold it up and we're going to crease it. If you have a bone folder, that's great. If not, what I have found works really well is a knitting needle. So I just kind of go like this, along there like that. Take your glue, and we're just gonna make sure I'm in frame here. I go all the way to the edge because we're gonna fold that in. So we're just gonna take this like this. And depending on the kind of wallpaper you have, you might have a little bit of trouble getting it to stick because some of it is pre-pasted. And sometimes that gives you a little bit of hassle. So that's why I like to put it down. Now this is a pre-pasted and it's going down really well. So thank you for that because I was worried. I should have like 12 mock-up pieces before I do a video, but why do that? You're all my friends. Y'all understand, right? So here we go. Down here, we're going to do the other side. So whatever, if you start on the side or at the bottom and top, you want to make sure that you're doing opposite of each other. So if you start on the side, do the other side. If you start at the top, do the bottom, and go from there. So we're going to go ahead, pull that up, and push it down. Get our handy dandy bone folder. See, that's the nice thing about this. This is metal, so I can just wipe it off. And then it doesn't get on my paper. And it's okay if it squishes out like that because we're going to use that in just a minute anyway. So that's just fine. Okay, then we're going to go over here. And this is again just how I do it. It's not right, it's not wrong. It's just how I do it. So I put a glue on the end. Put it all the way up the side here, over here, and then what we're going to do is we're going to fold this end in like this. You'll see the glue squish out. That's fine because we're going to push it up and then we're going to clamp it. So the same up here, you're just tucking this one in. And I found if I bring it just a little bit back, see, like here it's right up against the edge here. If I bring it just a little bit back, again, it's like a hinge, and so it's going to hold down a little bit better. And then we're just going to take this, and it does get tricky, and this is why you want to have a little extra on the side, and it's better to have too much than not enough, because I have done with not enough, and it is much more difficult to deal with to get it to cover and look good. So I'm going to go ahead and clamp this off. I have these little clamps. I got these at Harbor Freight. Actually, my husband got them for me. And they come in a little tub, and there's quite a few in there, and they work great. They're not, you want a clamp that's not really heavy duty, because if it's too much, these are plastic and they don't have a whole lot of spring to them. And it's better to use several of these than to use one that's more heavy duty, and then it leaves a mark in your journal cover. So I like to use these little cheap ones. I don't remember how much they were. I want to say around $6 for a whole bunch of them. So I do have, I'll show you here, like one of the other ones. I have these, but they are very strong, so I don't use those. I use the other ones that are more like just the plastic. There we go. So I just put that down like that. Looks a little funky, but that's okay. And you'll see on the cover, here's our cover. It's all nice and pretty. So fabric doesn't do that. You have to work a little bit more with fabric. So like I said, that's why I do recommend starting out with a wallpaper or even a cardstock if you're just practicing. Cardstock over the long haul doesn't last as long and isn't as durable. But if you're just practicing or making it for yourself, that's a great option as well. So keep that in mind. Unless you are schooled in the world of fabric, I would do that very last. But I'm afraid of fabric, so. Alright, so let's see here. Get another clamp. And this one actually is a little stronger. Some of those are a little bit stronger, and I don't like to use those because, like I said, they do leave a mark there, and I don't want that. I'll go ahead and clamp this up. Okay, and I'm actually going to leave this for quite a while. You can, go ahead when you're making a journal, you can let that sit for an hour or so, get really tacked up and stuck down well. I usually like to leave them overnight, just so that I know that it's stuck on there, it's stuck well, and I'm not going to have any issues. So next time when we come back, I'm going to show you how to reinforce the spine, and then how to put a cover on the inside as well. So I hope you hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when my next video comes up. I don't know if I mentioned before, but my 5-month-old grandson lives with me, and my daughter and my husband, and so I have to work around everybody's schedule to have time when I can make a video. So if Ryder's asleep, then, or Ryder's not here, then usually I can make a video. So it's not, I can't promise what day I will upload, so hitting that notification bell will let you know when I post a video. So thank you for joining me. I love the comments, and I hope that you find joy in your day. Thank you very much.